Welcome back to Ripe Reviews. Today we're talking about Nosferatu from 2024, directed by Robert Eggers. Was another remake of this classic absolutely necessary? We're going to talk about it. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And this is Ripe Reviews. Hey, O'Rourke! We're here. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Do I have to address you as Lord?
Yes, bow.
Oh, yes, my Lord.
I grew the whole beard.
Yeah.
I didn't just stick to just one part of the face.
You did the swap, right? Instead of the stash, you did the beard.
Right. It's going to be beard rides all night long. Someone's getting wolf dork. Let's put it that way.
Oh, the dork's coming. We're going to talk all about the dork.
Yes. This is actually just my regular coat, but thought it fit the theme. Blast me with some blue lights, bring out some candles, and just film me.
Yeah.
I'll look enough like Orlok.
Yeah,
It'll pass.
Little purple Orlok, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Midnight Orlok.
Is that like purple Urkel?
It could be a little bit.
You can like,
He's like the high Orlok.
roll up your jacket a little bit with the fuzzy.
Oh my God,
yeah.
now you just gave me a new character to think about. Like take one of those cannons from Predator 2, the
yeah,
huge joints. That's what he sucks at. It's not blood.
He just smokes weed?
And it's Midnight Orlok is the name.
Midnight Orlok.
He's really high.
Burning the Midnight Orlok. There you go.
Yeah, oh my God. That's
I think
a funny
I just
visual.
got keef on my fingers from your jacket.
That's possible.
Yeah,
there might even actually be some on here. Anyway, before we get too lost down that fucking rabbit hole, let's go to Transylvania because, yes, Nosferatu, another remake.
Oh, we're bopping right to the Carpathian Mountains, man. Now, here, I want to jump back. I was trying to figure out a way to start this, and I think the best way to start this is the fact that when this was announced, we were so excited for this. I was freaking out. I was like, holy shit, Robert Eggers is going to do a Nosferatu movie? It's like, yes, please, sign me up.
Right, which, if for some reason you're not familiar with his work, he's The Witch, Lighthouse, The Northman, all these kind of period pieces. But I actually haven't seen The Northman, so maybe correct me on this if I'm wrong, but they all have kind of some kind of supernatural element or a mystical background.
There is a mystical element to Northman.
Okay.
Northman is a little divergent from, like, when you watch The Lighthouse and then you watch The Northman, there are two completely different films.
Lighthouse is like literally put these two men in a lighthouse and watch them go insane.
Yeah.
I'm one of those literal insane persons that doesn't like that film, but I love The Witch.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about how I feel about this film.
It's a different kind of thing, and like where with The Witch you have that kind of folk horror, literal witch mythology
witch
and
shit,
folklore.
too.
Yeah. And then with The Lighthouse, you have this sort of Lovecraftian, cabin fever-esque type deal going on, which I love that movie.
With a mermaid.
Yeah, well, it's all delusions and hallucinations and things like that from going insane, which is pretty crazy. But I love that movie so much because of the look of it and how they shot it on the old lenses and it was black and white and stuff. Now, I fully expected Nosferatu to be black and white.
Oh, right off the gate when they announced it.
Right out of the gate. Now, I
was thinking something along the lines of Lighthouse or The Witch, lighting-wise, because that's kind of what he's known for besides his period. I don't know if you even call them period pieces. But
it's a period. I mean,
Gothic horror, I guess.
Witch is period piece. Lighthouse horror is period piece. Northman's period piece.
Okay, yeah.
Nosferatu is most certainly a period piece.
But the lighting and the camera direction, he's kind of, unless I'm mistaken about that, I feel like he's known for it.
Yeah, he has a very ethereal sort of very natural light, dark lighting, Gothic kind of artistic view on his films.
So when they first announced it, just to go off what you were saying, I was excited too. But the thing that really just going off the candlelight specifically was when they first started filming it and they were talking about what they were doing, and they literally shot most of this film by actual candlelight, which is insane.
Which I think is fantastic.
And it
you
works
know what
great.
I mean? And it works great. And it was actually shot on film, which I just learned. I didn't realize that it's becoming more in vogue again to shoot on film, which is kind of cool. Like the new Street Trash was shot on 35.
Okay.
I don't know how much it lends to it. Like the cinematographer for this, I forget his name, but he wanted to shoot specifically on film just for the color depth. And there was like a special filter they had on it to make it look like, I know this sounds ridiculous, and I'm trying to still wrap my brain around it, but like
Yaron Blanchk, if I'm saying that right.
I believe so. But like they made a specific filter, like a custom filter to shoot the movie as if it were black and white, but in color, and I don't really understand what the fuck that means exactly.
They got Kevin Smith on the horn. They're like, what the fuck did you do on Clerks 2? It's not what we want, but what did you do? What were your levels? We'll go from there. Give us your homework.
I was fully expecting to be black and white again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas that's what was so crazy about the Northman, because it was this lush kind of, well, I wouldn't say lush, but it's in color.
Especially like I mean? Coming off Lighthouse, which is very monotone.
I mean, it's completely different. They're two different fucking movies, completely, in terms of tone and filmmaking.
Sure.
You know? Or similar in filmmaking, but different in execution.
No, I got what you mean.
Yeah. But yeah, I was so excited for Nosferatu. And then
with it being a remake, I know sometimes we joke about that on the show, that it's like, are remakes necessary? And you kind of have to shake out that as you watch it. And it varies from film to film. There's Planet of the Apes exists.
Yes.
But then there's also the more recent series. Well, that kind of redeemed it.
Yeah, but
just as an example.
No, that's a good jumping off thing, because it's like, okay, here's Dracula, but not Dracula. And how many fucking Dracula movies are there?
A lot.
From the 30... Well, technically Nosferatu is the first Dracula movie. It's the unauthorized Dracula adaptation of Dracula. Then after that, you get Bela Lugosi, and then you have the Spanish version of Dracula, and then all through the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, especially in the 70s with like that, or 60s and 70s with Hammer and shit like that. So there's a lot of Dracula content.
Bram Stoker's.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, it's still one of the best. I think it's the best adaptation of the book, source material. But Nosferatu is such a kind of an enigma for me, because it's like people are so attached to the, and now I understand
to Nosferatu,
to Nosferatu specifically, the original, the F.W. Murnau's right,
Max
Schreck as Count Orlok. There's just so much tied to this, and people, especially now with the new one coming out, I've seen people come out of the woodwork and be like, "Oh, we don't need her; it's unnecessary, and we don't need a remake," and blah blah blah. I'm like, let me get this straight. I know Herzog did it, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But this movie's over 100 fucking years old.
Right, it's already in the what do they call the public domain?
Yeah, it is a Dracula. It's a dime store Dracula from over 100 years ago.
Well, right, because it's the ripoff. Yeah.
Nosferatu is if you read the novel Dracula, put it down for 30 years, and then told somebody the story from memory, and then filled in the blanks.
Changed some names, a couple of events.
I just rewatched it. I think it's a masterpiece, especially for the time. Okay, of what it was and when it came out, and the effect on film and Gothic horror in general. And I'm not contesting any of that.
Sure,
but to say that it's untouchable in terms of let's tell this particular story again, I think that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because then we go. I'm gonna jump now. This comes in 1922, and I believe it's 57 years after this one comes out. 1979, Werner Herzog makes Nosferatu.
Klaus Kinski.
With Klaus Kinski as,
the madman himself.
Count Orlok. And so I watched that too. So I watched the remake. I watched...
You get the full breath.
I watched Robert Eggers' 2024 Nosferatu. Then I watched the original. Then I watched Herzog's. And then I watched Eggers' again. Herzog's is a completely different animal than the 1922 version. It's very deliberate with its artistic liberties that it takes, and again, it is
changes and stuff like that.
Defined by Herzog's filmmaking, you know what I mean, and his way to tell the story, and he changes a lot of things from the original that we jump to that, which is fine with me, and it's a different flavor.
Got it.
And to say that, I've seen people say, "Oh, I like the 79 one way better than the Eggers one." I think that's not fair to say. Maybe I'll save that for my final thought.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different beast than the 22 version, okay?
I mean, I could understand just without actually seeing the conversation that you're referring to. People don't like remakes just on face value. What did I just kind of say about Planet of the Apes? But I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is on one level, I can kind of see where people are coming from if you want to compare a remake. I think that's a valid argument.
Yeah.
But to your point, there is also the other side of that argument, the other side of the coin where, well, these are very different movies at the same time, so maybe you can't exactly look at it that way. There's a side to both arguments.
And that's what I'm kind of getting at, right? Like, Nosferatu 22 Murnau's is its own thing, okay? Herzog's is its own thing.
Oh, and lest we forget, also, I mentioned it on the last time we talked about Nosferatu. I always forget the name of it. Night of the Vampire or whatever. The Making of Nosferatu. What is that called?
Shadow of the Vampire.
Shadow of the Vampire.
Yeah, which is like it's
Side
sort of
story.
like a mock documentary biopic, essentially, which has Willem Dafoe as the
weirdly enough,
the titular Max Schreck or Nosferatu, rather.
Just on that note, before you get to your point about
I don't really
all
count that one because it's not. It's like
it's a different thing.
Yeah. It's like a satirical version of it.
It is, but I kind of love Defoe's portrayal of Orlok.
Oh, check it out if you haven't seen it for sure.
I just wanted to say it's been a real long time since I watched Nosferatu. I have this weird thing about silent films. I've talked about it before. It's like one of my dark holes. I always try to watch them. That and Dr. Caligari, another classics. Hunchback's classic.
Yeah.
That's one I've actually gotten through, but I got to go back. I know I'm bad with that. Sorry, folks. And I've never seen the Herzog one, but I've seen clips. It looks cool.
Yeah.
But that's just my history with the two. I just want to get that out there.
I don't want to deep dive review either of these two because that's not kind of what we're doing. And we're only doing a basic surface level review of the new Nosferatu. But like, again, the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing I can say is that they're all different artistic interpretations of the film. Mm-hmm. And I think Eggers is a more than worthy addition to these things. Now, it's funny because like, this comes out in 22. This is like 57 years after, I believe, Herzog's. Yeah. And then 47 years after is Robert Eggers.
That's a long fucking time.
So it's a long fucking time. And
how many Spider-Man remakes did we get in the last 10 years?
But my point is, like, there's only three Nosferatu movies, quote unquote. There's 100 million Dracula movies, right? Yeah.
So I think Frankenstein.
It's just such a wacky thing to me that people are like, we don't need it. It's what was the word that unnecessary was a word that I saw used thrown around for Robert Eggers, and I'm like, have you fucking seen the 22 one? Have you seen the 79 one? The 2024 one does all different kinds of things. It puts a different spin on the story. They're all similar, but not the fucking same at all.
No. I'm kind of joking here, but I said that about Beetlejuice, but I know that's just me being kind of a son of a bitch about Beetlejuice.
What do you mean
just
by that?
I think it's unnecessary, just kind of joking. I'm joking.
That kind of...
But a lot of people like that film, so I know I'm in the minority on that.
It's a little different with Beetlejuice because... it was a sequel to the original, and if you can't do Beetlejuice without Michael Keaton.
That's true. That's true. It is different. You're right. I was just trying to correlate it. That's all.
And some would argue, you can't do Nosferatu without Max Schreck, and you can't do Nosferatu without
fucking get him out of the ground.
No, I'm just like, but there's such different.
Get the Reanimator, Joe.
There's such different takes on the character. You know?
Yeah.
So that was a huge contention I saw. It was one of the big things that stuck out in my brain, and I just could not fucking get it out of my head. They said it was unnecessary, and I'm like, anything. And it's not just anything. It's not like Hollywood was like, let's make a Nosferatu remake, baby, because we're going to rake in the cash. This was like Eggers, like one of the things that he wanted to do his entire life, was make a Nosferatu movie, because he actually did some kind of musical or some kind of, he did an adaptation of it when he was a kid. Huh. And it
meant something to him.
It meant a lot to him. And I think it shows in the filmmaking, to say that it's unnecessary, I don't believe so, because here's a guy who actually really appreciates the source material, who pays homage to not only the 22 version, but also the 79 version, while also doing his own thing, you know? And bringing all that fucking sweet Eggers historical accuracy that I really enjoy, or at least folklore-based accuracy, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
It's all there, man, for me personally. And the stories I thought was fucking great. And people are like, we heard this one already. I seen this. And it's
Dracula!
Like, it's fucking Dracula.
About?
It's fucking Dracula.
Oh my God. This isn't like Force Awakens or some shit where it's like, all right, I don't agree, but I could see the argument. It's fucking Dracula.
Folks, it could use a little bit of fucking polish. And not to say that it negates the 79 or the 22 one, but like it's just another flavor to add to the repertoire. And again, there's such different artistic interpretations. I mean, it's like so far fucking removed from each other, you know? Now, I've said this before. I attribute Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, and I treat it the same fucking way in my brain as I treat the 1986 Fly, as I treat the 1988 Blob. You know,
those are two of the ultimates.
I know, but my point is, when you make the jump from Atomic Age to the 80s to the more contemporary 80s version, they're still both good. or even The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. They're still both good, but in completely different ways, you know? And I think there's enough time between the three of these movies where the 22 one is so different from the 79 one, and the 79 one is so different from the 2024 one, you know?
You can enjoy all of them,
You can enjoy all of them in a different way, and I feel like, and again, I feel the same way about John Carpenter's The Thing that I do about Nosferatu in terms of remakes.
Sure.
And how we're going from one style of filmmaking, one decade of filmmaking, and going 40, 50 years into the future, and then that style of filmmaking, and especially Robert Eggers' filmmaking. And being mentored by one of the fucking greatest filmmakers, Chris Columbus.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Huh.
And
the man who directed Home Alone 1 and 2?
Absolutely.
And the first, I think, 2 Harry Potter films?
Yeah, man.
Plus many others?
And he wrote fucking Gremlins.
Oh, God. He wanted that mother to die.
But
we talked about it. Go back.
But it was cool I didn't know that, and he's been mentoring Eggers and
wow, that is cool.
Supporting his vision and making it the best Robert Eggers movies it could be. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, okay.
I want to talk about the look of Count Orlok because that's another big contention in this movie, and then we'll get to how we feel about the movie as a whole. The mustache.
Yeah. They hid that for a long time.
Now, one of my favorite things about the campaign for this is we never fucking saw Orlok's face. And I think that was such a good decision.
Did we see it? I didn't look it up. I kind of avoided trailers, but did the launch trailer, for lack of a better term, the last trailer, did they have it? Okay.
No, we did not see his face. As far as I know, I didn't watch if there was a final trailer, but I know that they specifically kept it out of all the marketing.
I remember Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It's like, when we were talking about it with my brother, it's like, oh, hopefully this wasn't in the trailer. And then when I edited the episode, it's like the whole movie's in the trailer. It's like, okay.
It really is, though.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. But yeah, the mustache, and everybody was all up in arms about that shit. And
I kind of took me back in my seat. I was like, oh shit. But you kind of get used to it as the film goes on.
Seeing him for the first time, seeing Skarsgard with the voice and everything.
Oh God, the voice is so good.
And he's got this deep, dark voice. And it's like...
It's echoes.
It's like Gary Oldman, but not the same as Gary Oldman. I mean, he sounds like a fucking old Carpathian warlord. You know what I mean? Like, you know?
With the echo, whatever effect they added on that. I don't know if they're just multiplying his voice in post.
I don't know. I don't know how much of, like, if they, like, brought his voice down or, like, made it deeper or something. But, man, the fucking... like him breathing in and then like talking. I mean, it was fucking creepy and really scary.
The voice especially. I mean, the size of this Dracula
is huge,
and it kind of like the way the story's told. At first, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. From a lore standpoint, Dracula is even if he's not huge.
He's tall.
He's tall. He's always very strong. Even if he's a skinny, like Gary Oldman. I mean, Gary Oldman does transform into that larger version. But he's kind of always this one version for most of the film. And you're kind of like, all right, well, where are they going to go with this? Is he just going to throw people around like the Hulk?
Well,
but there's a reason for that.
We'll get to that in a second. We still didn't finish the mustache thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about his whole his whole imposing. I guess
his whole look is fucking cool.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
And I just want to like there's throwbacks to the Max Schreck version. He's got like the hat, you know, the woolly hat on, which is fucking
He's
cool.
got the comb over.
Yeah. He's a Transylvanian fucking guy. Like
he looks the part.
That's what they look like.
Sunken
what is it called?
eyes.
The Cossacks or the Cassacks or something like that? I
think so, yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, I'm not a fucking Transylvanian history buff, but I know that that's what those people looked like then. Yeah. And you know when you think of things like I Vertilac and stuff like that, like the what was also done by Jesus Christ. I just lost. Bela Lugosi was I Vertilac. I think. Was it Bela Lugosi or Boris Karloff?
I haven't actually seen that.
I can't remember. But Vertilac was a movie that had just come out too. That was like a period piece on vampires.
Got you. Okay.
Different, but similar in terms of time period ish.
Okay.
Where it's pulling from.
Got
right?
you. Okay.
Okay. I was totally into the mustache thing. And by the way, guess who has a fucking mustache?
Bill Skarsgard?
Dracula in the book has a fucking mustache.
Well, I guess Gary Oldman does. Not just keep going back to that version, but...
Well, he doesn't have a mustache when he's Dracula.
Oh, God, yeah, he's got...
Quote, unquote.
Right, the Leslie Nielsen mode.
Yeah, he's...
You know what I mean.
The boob head
Yeah,
hair.
the boob head.
Yeah. Like, and people were like, oh, it's taking me out of it. It's so goofy and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's a fucking decrepit... rotting corpse zombie, which by the way
he got his right.
Well, yeah, no, he is. That's what a vampire was. They were they were undead, literal undead corpses that would come back from the dead.
Yeah. Out of coffins.
out of
Think about
coffins.
it. Yeah.
Right?
There's a motif there.
So they weren't always these handsome, I heard somebody was comparing it to shit like Lost Boys or some other contemporary version. I'm like,
this isn't Anne Rice.
It's not the same fucking thing. It's not Lestat.
Right.
It's not David. It's not fucking Gary Oldman.
No,
even.
I mean, and just because you brought up, we may have actually talked about this before, but just a quick reminder, or if not, some new information for anyone that might not know.
Yeah.
Vampires, it kind of switched at some point. At one point, it was all the poor people are the vampires because they're the ones sucking society, and then at some point they're like, wait a fucking minute, it should be the other way around, and that's when they turned into the more now classic, like your Anne Rice, Lestat, noble vampire, and they're killing the poor. It switched at some point. 100 years ago or whatever.
Well, we discussed that on the Salem's Lot.
And that was
specifically vampires in literature.
Sure.
Folklore-wise, it's accurate to what Eggers has put on screen.
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm just restating that information.
I mean, vampirism goes back to the fucking Greeks, like way back.
And again, like werewolves come out of that.
Right, but it has changed over so many hundreds of years into what it is now. So when people look at it and go, that's not a fucking vampire, it's like, no, that's actually what the fuck a vampire was back then.
Right. This isn't Twilight where you might actually have an argument. No, this is pretty damn accurate. And again, in the film, I don't know how deep we want to go into spoilers yet. Do we want to save like anything real deep?
Well, I just want to put a pin on that. So, or put the point on that. And the point is, the first time I saw it, I was a little taken aback because I didn't expect that. I didn't know. You know what? I had a Max Schreck thing in my head. I had a Mr. Barlow look in my head.
I'm kind of glad they did change it. It makes it original.
Well,
or its own thing.
That's what I'm getting at. I was like, oh. And then I went, oh. And then when I saw it the second time, I was like, he is so fucking scary and this like foreboding force.
It's like the Hulk.
Yeah, well, maybe not
Super
the Hulk.
Shredder.
Maybe
I'm saying size-wise, when this fucker's standing up.
He's looming. He's not beefy. He's like death. He's like shrouded in this big coat and this hat and all this shit, and he's just so fucking cool. And when he speaks, and I don't know, it's just awesome.
It's the slow, the way he talks, and he only talks in whatever language that's supposed to be. It's not even German. It's
Romani. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, there's a whole thing where he talks about its ancient language and whatnot.
It's written in the ancient language of whatever.
I'm trying to remember because it's been a couple weeks since I've seen it, but does he even say anything in English, or it's almost always subtitles for him, right?
No, he says a bunch of shit.
He does,
in English.
okay.
Yeah, he talks
I gotta remember. When he talks to Nicolas Hoult.
Nicolas Hoult, it's all in English.
Got you, okay.
But he dupes him.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to go I don't want to dive too deep into that.
That's fine.
I want to keep it surface level because, like, I just want to pick out the things that are different for this version versus the other version.
That was just interesting. I like how they did the subtitles. That's why I was asking. Because the way he's introduced his subtitles, and then I guess now I'm remembering as you're saying that.
I think it's Romani. I would assume.
Like
I would assume it's Transylvania. They speak Romani in Transylvania. Yeah,
definitely in this film.
Yeah. The other big, we're gonna get into this. We're actually gonna talk about the movie in like 2 seconds. Okay, I just want to get these fucking things out of the way because
we've been talking about it.
I know, but they just piss me off again. This movie's so slow. This movie's so boring. Fuck you!
Are you just like this the whole time, looking up every few minutes?
I'm sorry, man, but like this.
Listen, I'll complain about a slow movie. I've done it many times on the show. This movie is not slow at all.
Look,
it's paced perfectly.
Two things. The people that are talking about the 22 version, the 79 version, and saying that this movie is slow, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, right, at that point.
And I don't know, objectively, you're an asshole. Because, because it's telling its story. It's going at a same pace or even faster pace than both of these original films.
Right.
So I don't understand that. Okay, I just cannot get past. That is one of the things I just cannot get past. The unnecessary comment and the too slow comment. I'm sorry there wasn't bing bang explosions and Nosferatu wasn't doing a fucking backflip with dual fucking pistols shooting everybody. Or Van Helsing comes in, who's not even in this movie. You know, it's somebody, or Seaver comes in with like a stake and like fucking kills 20 vampires. Like, that's not what this is. This is a gothic fucking horror movie. Okay? It's a slow burn. It's a mystery. It's foreboding. It's gloomy. It's a Robert Eggers movie.
I was going to say, have you seen his last films? We've talked about him.
These people said the same thing about The Witch. And they said the same thing about The Lighthouse. I know you don't like The Lighthouse, but
my issue with The Lighthouse is not that I think it's slow. I have other problems with it.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right?
Yeah.
You knew what the fuck you were getting into.
Well, again, if there's people comparing it, those people, sure. I think this movie is pretty big. It came out on Christmas. I think there is probably a percentage of people that are not familiar with Robert Eggers' work. At the end of the day, I don't know what you really thought when you saw the trailer, but...
Let's take Robert Eggers out of the equation. Let's just put Nosferatu in there.
That's what I mean.
Let's just say Nosferatu, the movie's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that. Isn't that the vampire movie? Yes, it is the vampire movie. Yeah, it's like I always see that guy, kind of early. I never actually watched the movie, but I guess I'll go see this for some fucking crazy reason. Like, what did you expect you were going to get? Okay? It's a slow burn. It's not even slow. It's atmospheric. I don't even know what to say, but like fans, especially of the horror genre, when I hear that shit, I'm like, if this isn't for you, then stay the fuck away from it, right?
You're
like
gatekeeping. Fuck it.
I'm not gatekeeping, but I'm just like, I'm so tired of hearing like hyperbolic bullshit. I can't fucking take it. I just can't.
I mean, I got you.
I hate when the word travels, right? And everybody's like, oh, this is slow. And then without even seeing it or judging it for yourself, somebody goes, yeah, I heard that movie was slow and stupid and shitty.
That's a bigger problem with film review in general.
I'm just saying. I think we're so deep into the age of people just saying shit about something just to get a reaction. And it's always fucking negative, and I cannot take it anymore.
Well, in this
I'm tired of like this the over negativity just to get a click.
Well, I mean, I'm right there with you.
I hate it.
I think another thing that's kind of been bubbling up, and we've even talked about it on this show in the past, is just like people just, again, I kind of joked about it a minute ago on my phone there for audio listeners, but people just being on their phone watching the movie, and hey, you want to do that at home, or if you really need to, sit in the fucking background and keep it to yourself. But like, yeah, that shit does infuriate me. I mean, it's been a minute. I'm not trying to jinx myself, knock on the table, but I've yelled at people in the theater, and thank God,
I've been there. I've seen it.
Thank God no one's gotten real angry and knifed me in the fucking throat.
Well, this is also true.
But sometimes you got to be an asshole or get up and miss 5 minutes of movie and get a fucking manager and be a Karen for a second. But are we at that point? And at the movie, that's why I try to avoid going to the theater sometimes, and I like going.
Well, you said you had.
I had a good experience with this.
You
film.
did have a good experience.
Yeah,
I saw it twice in theater. Now it
was packed, by the way.
So another thing was like people laughing at it.
Yeah, I mean, some of that did annoy me, but
but like, I hate that shit too.
I do
when
too.
When I go to see like older movies too, like a really good giallo or like an Italian horror film or something, and people are laughing at shit, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
That I get less so. Yeah. I mean, I don't get it regardless because it's like you just don't understand what's happening on screen. But it's like you came in to watch this thing because you liked it.
Movie. Like
at least if it's new, it's like all right, you're an asshole, but you didn't know. That's what
I want to say. I want
to
say that like I love a B movie just as next to the. I mean, that's what I do. I love B movies. But I also like good movies too.
Yeah.
Right? And this is not a movie where I'm like, this is funny to laugh at. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. This isn't like Troll 2. You know what I mean?
I don't know, Joe. The torture and rape of a woman. It's pretty fucking hilarious,
Isn't
right?
That so funny?
Oh my God, she's having another seizure because this entity is attacking her from across the sea and mind fucking her against her will. Isn't that fucking hilarious?
Like
what are we doing?
But you missed the point of the movie.
I'm just saying, well, that's that whole rant.
I know, but I'm saying
that's like when I saw The Substance, and some guy in the back when Margot Qualley comes out for the first time in the bathroom, and some guy in the back is like, "Now we're talking." It's like, bro, you just proved the fucking director of that film's whole point.
That's the point of that film.
Boom, right over
his head.
Anyway, sorry, you got me heated there for a second.
No, but like that is exactly what I'm talking about. And I for whatever the problem is, I see more of the negativity than I do of the positivity.
It's social media.
And I know, but it really bums me out, man. It really does. Like, even if you didn't like this movie, how could you not appreciate the way that it's made, just from a filmmaking point of view, or the characters too?
Yeah, that's
another thing. Like, the character development in Eggers is so much more. than the 22 or the 79 one. And I've heard people say that too. Like, oh, it's fucking bored. Doesn't make any sense. I've seen this before. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's a completely different fucking take on the story. What are you talking about?
I was going to say, the 22 one's pretty straightforward.
Just for instance, let's talk about the character of Ellen. Now, she's Lucy in Herzog's.
Oh, he went back to the old names?
Or yeah, just and like he's Jonathan Harker in that one.
Okay.
Right? So Ellen... or Ellie, however you want to call her,
right.
She really doesn't have... She's more like a damsel in distress in the 22 one.
Yeah.
Okay? And she has a feeling from Orlok. There's no connection per se, but she can feel that something's amiss with Thomas.
Right.
And he's at Orlok's castle.
Aren't there a bunch of beach scenes in that?
There is a beach scene.
Okay, yeah.
There's a beach scene in all three. But it's not explicitly said that she has a connection with him. Even though I guess you're supposed to understand that if you've read the Dracula novel.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of a merging of two characters. Anyway, my point is, she ends up finding out how to defeat Nosferatu from a book that Thomas gets. And she's like, I got to give myself to Orlok. And the same thing happens throughout all three movies. She gives her body to him.
Right.
He disappears in the sunlight, which is kind of a cool effect. In the original, like especially for the time,
it goes out the window.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool how he dissolves. And then in the 79 one, Isabella Adjani from Possession. Have you seen Possession?
I have not, actually.
She's so beautiful. Anyway, she plays Lucy or Ellen or Ellie or whatever the fuck you want to call her. That character.
Our main female lead.
And with her in that film, she's the most proactive person about trying to go after Nosferatu because Thomas, or Jonathan in that one, is bitten by Klaus Kinski, and then he is afflicted with vampirism. So he is like, the whole thing is like, Nosferatu in that bites Jonathan, he goes back home, and then he basically has him under a spell where he doesn't remember Ellen, or Lucy rather, and that's the trade-off. He's like, Klaus Kinski's like, okay, you're gonna give me the love that you give this guy, and then I'll let him remember who you are. And she's like, fuck you, I wouldn't even give that love to God. Which it's a great line.
That's a good line.
Yeah, it's a really good line. But my point is, she's more proactive in it. She takes like communion wafers and like puts it in the coffin so he can't go back to the coffin, and then like traps Jonathan with the communion wafers around him. And then it plays out like you think. You know, the sun comes up, Klaus dies, but then like Sievers comes in, or Van Helsing rather, in that one.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, he comes up and like it's weird. He like stakes Klaus Kinski off screen, but then gets like sent to jail, and then Jonathan becomes the new Nosferatu. What? It's fucking weird. Again, there's a lot of artistic interpretation and liberties taken in the 79 one.
I gotta watch it, but
yeah,
interesting.
Case in point is Ellen in Robert Eggers' movies, played by Lily Rose Depp, who I really like.
She's fucking great,
man. She's come a hell of a long way since fucking Yoga Hosers. Okay.
Well, she was in Tusk first. Let's not forget that was just a cameo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a full out thing, and she's proven her chops. You know,
Yoga Hosers. Holy shit, is that bad?
Our friend Jenna Fryer that we've had on the show before was like, you know what? She gets a pass even for being a nepo baby, which is fun. I would too. And people have been like giving her shit because of the acting. And you know what? I watched it twice.
I thought she was great.
Like, it's like a Victorian era fucking Gothic horror movie. What are you expecting from this performance?
The only thing, and I'm not laughing at it, I don't agree with all the jokes online, is that some of the seizure scenes I think are a bit excessive, with the possession scenes or whatever you want to refer to those as.
I disagree.
Well, let me just finish that point.
Okay.
And I mean, you can still disagree with me. Yeah. I just think they went on for like a second or two too long, but that's what she was told to do. She's acting. Yeah. I don't think that's her fault at all. That's just, and that's subjective, obviously. But I thought it went on a little too long. I wasn't like in the thing like, I was just like, all right, we get it. We get it. But that, that's such a nitpick for me, I
think my biggest takeaway, because like everybody's great. Aaron Taylor Johnson, Nicolas Hoult, Willem Dafoe, Lily Rose Depp.
God, Aaron Taylor
Johnson was fucking great too, man.
I didn't even know he was in this, and like, not to just go right over Ellie and Nicolas Hoult.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying they're all so good.
Yeah, but like just his character arc, I guess I don't know how similar it is to the other versions, but like the stuff that happens to his wife and his kids and just his whole story is pretty fucked up.
It's close, but it's never gone in depth like it is here, right? So So that's a big takeaway from the new one that I really enjoyed too. I liked how they went more into depth with Ernak, where he is like
who's the guy who sends,
who literally signs a pact with Orlok.
He's got the occult, the pentagram.
I think that's fucking awesome. And Lily Rose's Depp, her connection to Orlok makes way more sense, enriches that character, and makes it way better than either of the original versions. In my opinion,
I like how they play into something with. Well, they don't ever flat out say it, I don't think, but she has some kind of like astral projection. She has some kind of connection.
She's got ESP.
That's what it is. Okay, okay.
And that's what's so cool about it. And man, I'm sorry. There's a few things that I want to talk about, but like, but like specifically with that, it makes more sense. Like, it makes more sense why Orlok comes from across the fucking sea to buy a house to take her. You know what I mean?
I guess I say astral projection because I think of other movies and books that do that. Like, I always think of Insidious. That was a huge point to the first few films, but mainly the first one, where it's like, oh, you left your body and something else came in, because there's a lot of that stuff in this film where it's like she's present and then she's not, and then she's not present. I mean, eventually you find out what's really happening.
The second sight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of night terror shit in this that I really like too, with like the pressing on the chest and all of that stuff, and the dark shadow in the room and all that stuff, which I thought was really cool.
The hand going over the village.
The hand going over the village. The darkness literally spreading.
The curse. I love how they had this. I don't remember this from many versions. Funnily enough, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein did this, but the fucking second that Orlok's in town, the rats start taking over.
They do it in every version.
Oh, they do. Maybe it's just way a bigger part in this.
They do it in they do it in all three versions
of Nosferatu.
Yeah, the 79 one. There's more of it. Like, people die from the plague and stuff. But I think it's handled better in this one.
I guess what I meant by that is I keep conflating Nosferatu with Dracula as a whole. I mean, Dracula as a whole, you don't see that too often. No, but I guess that's a good point.
But like, where the Demeter crashes and all the rats come out.
Right.
Oh, but I don't want to get too far away from that. Lily Rose Depp, she has the ESP, and she establishes the connection with Orlok. She awakes him from like some kind of slumber by accident, because she's reaching out for somebody just to be with her, for somebody to love her and companionship. Because she has nobody, because she's shunned by her father. Her mother's dead at this point, I think. And that whole thing too, like, there's a lot of like, I'm a young girl and I'm looking for affection, and I'm looking for, I almost put that together like she is a runaway or meets an older guy kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it's comforting at first, but then it becomes this horrible thing that you shouldn't be doing, but she doesn't know any better.
The vampire, he's like a demon, literally.
Yeah. Well, he's an appetite, and he even fucking says that, and that's like some dark shit.
And there's even a lot of like things that they don't flat out say, but if you're like paying attention to the dialogue, it's like, oh shit, she doesn't even realize she's with Nicolas Hoult, because that's all part of Orlok's plan. Like, she like subconsciously got with this guy, and then like she's kind of like realizes it as the film's progressing and things are getting crazier and shittier for Nicolas Holt's character. What is he called in this?
He's Thomas.
As he
Thomas
goes,
Huta.
which is one of the, I think, the most interesting and kind of most like dread-inducing parts of the whole film, which is I remember from the original when he's going to the castle, which is in every Dracula.
Oh my god, dude! The new scene with the carriage.
Oh,
the carriage scene in this, dude, it's fucking awesome, dude. When it comes to the side and the little door opens,
goosebumps.
And then the cinematography, goes without saying, it's fucking incredible. It's great. It's just really well done.
It's scene after scene, and we could just literally do it beat for beat if we wanted to. But it's just there's so much you really could talk about with this film.
I just want to talk about the big key points that changed, that really make this one stand out from the other two.
How about Willem Dafoe's character? Because you said there's no Van Helsing, but there's that character who kind of he's not quite Van Helsing, but he's
supposed to be Van Helsing.
Yeah. I love him.
So there's Sievers, and then there's the Van Helsing character. Right. I forget his fucking name. But they're both in
Franz.
Van Franz. He's in the 22 version, and he's absent in the 79 version. So he is. Those characters are like split almost, or they're two different ones, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he is like the Van Helsing character. He's very into the metaphysics and how science has kind of with how much light science has shed on the modern world. It's also put like our beliefs in darkness, which I thought was kind of great, and that's a big message of this film too, which I really appreciate. Like, most of the time they can't. They have to understand darkness to fight darkness. But if you don't believe, how are you supposed to accept any of it?
Talking about Salem's Lot, faith versus faith.
Faith versus faith.
They kind of do it here.
Faith versus faith is a big one. And I feel like that's lost in translation for these two films, but it comes back in this one, in my opinion.
Especially with the curse stuff. I mean, I don't want to just spoil it flat out, but they straight up say, hey, it's faith-based. It's not just because rats are going around. It's a little bit more to this. It's the vampire.
Well, it's faith-based, but he is the harbinger of doom. He is the devourer. He
got bodies in the street,
He's the fucking plague. He is death.
He is. It is such a good representation of Dracula. It is just like crazy to me.
That's another thing. Like all of the Black Plague stuff and like how that afflicts everybody.
That might be one of my favorite elements of the film.
I think it's fucking awesome. Now, it is in these other versions, but I don't think it's done as well as it is in this one. So there's a lot of that, and people are dismissing it as, it's just the plague, it's not this demon, but it is the Dracula, the demon.
We also have that other doctor, you're right, Ralph Ineson plays.
Seaver. Yep.
Oh, that is Seaver. Okay, I couldn't remember. I like him too. He's kind of good. He's trying to help Ellie, because she's with her friend now that Thomas left, and he's doing what he knows at the time was medically right. Like, strap her to the bed.
Yeah, she's got the congestion of the blood, which is like something that runs throughout from the original directly.
The blood stuff was interesting too, especially where they play up a lot of, again, like what is physically and mentally happening to this woman, and a lot of the femininity of it.
Yeah.
With the blood is actually, it's not as simple as blood coming out your arm. Now they get real sexual with it, but there's a point to it. I'm not just, I'm saying it crudely. They do it very
tastefully,
yes, in the film.
And she's like, and he's talking about, Willem Dafoe mentions the menstruation and stuff, and it's like she has extra blood because, I don't know, I guess she's producing more because he's
doing something,
influencing her some way because he's gonna come take it from her. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing. So she dedicates herself to him.
Again, she has those moments where she's here all the time, and she's
she willingly gives herself to him.
Well, she does.
And then the pact, I guess, wears off, and then she meets Thomas, and then kind of quote unquote saves her. Again, just like meeting somebody when you get out of a bad relationship and you meet somebody who's actually a good person and lets you see the person who you should be or want to be, and the past that you want to kind of put away is coming back to haunt her here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like taken to such another level once Orlok again does show up, because then there's just that element of she just seems like she's going crazier and crazier.
Yeah. And they're dismissing it, especially Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's like, tired of the fucking bed. Put the what do you call on?
Oh,
not the fucking girdle. What is it called?
That is a girdle. They do mention
corset.
Corset. Yeah, right. Yeah. And as the film goes on, I kind of could see why he feels the way he does, because he doesn't really believe the whole vampire thing. He thinks it's bullshit
at all.
He's like, you just read this in a book. You never even fought one.
He's like, the fuck are you talking about? And I love Willem Dafoe because he's just like, I don't know. I never met Nosferatu in the flesh, but
I've traveled all over the world. He has all this knowledge. He's met people that have supposedly fought these things.
And the thing that stays consistent throughout the folklore is that the vampire has to sleep in the earth,
and he brings that up
from his homeland, and can die by it has to be back in his coffin before the first cocks crow.
Right. Well, they don't know about the sunlight explicitly. They just know about the cocks crow.
They don't know what'll happen, but if they keep him from his coffin, they might be able to stop him.
Right. But Aaron Taylor Johnson, by about the 90-minute mark, he's had a fucking enough.
Oh yeah. Well, his wife dies.
Right. Wow.
The scene with the kids was great.
Well, Orlok, I want to talk about that briefly, where he drops his little fucking message. His
oh, dude. Oh, man, that's such a good
when
scene.
He appears in the window and he's like, comes to Ellie, and he's just like, all right, well, if you're not going to come with me willfully, because you have 3 days. And also, we didn't talk about it, but the way he kind of...
Excuse me. 3 days.
3 days. Right, yeah, exactly. That type of that part of the world. But how he rat fucks Jonathan or Thomas with the paperwork. It's in my language, but it's just for the real estate, but it's actually him signing his wife over
to him, which is like, fuck. Like, he's like...
the ritual elements, they go way deeper into
He's like forfeiting his nuptials or whatever.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
He doesn't realize it.
No. And he signs it. He's like, you sold me for a sack of gold. That's a great...
He throws him the gold,
thing. Yeah, it's fucking great, man.
And he tells her that, and then on the third day, when it's like everything's about to hit the fan, she flips out on him. Everything's why am I going that deep into it? My point being is this woman is being attacked, again, like I said, mentally, physically. And it kind of just comes down
metaphysically.
She kind of is the hero of the whole fucking movie, honestly.
I know that. That's what I'm saying. She becomes the main character, which I appreciate. And I think it makes more sense.
And it works really well. And just without just spoiling the whole fucking film.
Yeah. That's why I want to just I want to cherry pick the differences and why they work for me.
I don't have much more to add unless you have more differences. I love how the end kind of wraps itself up. I don't know if you want to talk about that deeply.
Let me see.
When they go after the vampire, that's where you get a lot of that really cool candlelit scenes where they're on a boat and shit.
Yeah, it's really excellent. I mean, even when Thomas goes to the Carpathian Mountains and he like meets up with the gypsies and then goes to the
when he first gets there,
and all that
mustache
stuff,
guy.
I just loved all of that.
And they go and they actually hunt a vampire, and he follows them.
And he follows them. And he's like, "Holy fuck! Like you guys are what's going on here?" And I love how the Count like dismisses it. He's like, "They're old ways. I don't speak of it again."
But that's talk about making things make sense.
Yeah.
He sees them stake this vampire, so later he just thinks, "Oh, that's what you got to do.
Just stake them." Steakums.
He certainly stakes something.
Anyway, I just feel like Ellen's character is so much stronger in this version, and I think it's so much different enough to stand on its own two legs as its own Nosferatu adaptation.
Oh yeah, bring it back to that. Yeah. Simon McBurney as Hernock.
Hernock is like
he is so good.
He
bites his fucking pigeon's head off.
Oh my god, man, he is blood is the life. He is fucking great.
I wasn't expecting him to be so good. I mean, the Renfield character is always good. So what was I really expecting? But holy shit, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
he kind of transforms himself. He's kind of this, strapping kind of businessman.
He is a little fucking weasel from the get go.
Again, we don't know that yet. You know Dracula, you know it.
Yeah.
But then, by the end, he's like the fucking hunchback.
Yeah, he's all fucked up. I mean, he did an amazing job. Really excellent. I'm trying to
spreading his poop on the wall. Yikes.
Writing in shit like the Marquis de Sade. I'm trying to remember. There's one more thing.
We didn't really talk about it, but the part on the Demeter's kind of crazy when he's like, there's this like one guy with a fucking lantern looking for him, and he's like behind him.
Well, it's almost like
holy shit.
Oh, that scared the shit out of me. But like, it's almost verbatim like what happens.
I don't know. Yeah, you're thinking of differences.
I'm trying to think of like specific.
He didn't come like up like this, like the original. He didn't do that, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, they have the fucking shadow scene, which is a little different.
Yeah,
when he goes up the stairs,
coming up the stairs
and
opening the door. I mean, that's all in the original, but that is like
cool.
It's so good, and I appreciate the extra push or extra emphasis they had put on this black cloud coming over Visburg. You know what I mean? Like it's very dark and scary and gross and
it is.
and hopeless and gloomy. Yeah, I think I've said it already, but like the way that it kind of relates to now, like what we're going through right now, I think it's a lot of people dismissing and being negative about things and not and kind of keeping your eyes open or your mind open to things that may be out of your realm or on your periphery.
Maybe. Yeah.
And like Dafoe has a good bunch of lines right at the end where Lily Rose tells him that she's like, I know that I'm the key because she can see the future. She knows who's going to die.
Well,
she has premonitions.
She also just knows that based on everything that's happened, that she's the only one that can actually stop this son of a bitch.
Well, she knows because Willem Dafoe knows because he reads it in the book of how to stop to stop it, and she knows too. So they kind of commiserate and formulate the plan at the end.
I also do, just as a side note, Willem Dafoe's little character quirk. He's a cat lover. He's got cats in his house.
Oh my god, I love that. And
he's got Ellie's cat at the end. He's petting it.
It's funny because that runs throughout the films too.
Okay.
Yeah, the rats and the cats run throughout the films. But like to your point about how the ending is this kind of great thing because the diversion.
Yeah, you want to just talk about that? Yeah.
I want to talk about that because that's
different.
That's the other biggest change.
That's true.
Because normally
I was waiting for him to walk to that window.
Nosferatu just comes and nobody's around and the shit just goes down. But the way that they did it was pretty smart because they have Orlok's coffin in his place and they're gonna go kill him and burn him down and before he gets back to his coffin or whatever, or before he wakes up rather.
Well, they're gonna destroy it so he can't come back.
They're gonna destroy him. By the time they reach it, they go to kill him and it's Hernock in the fucking coffin and they just stake his ass.
Like I said, Nicolas Hoult uses that stake on something.
It was great, dude. And they light and Willem Dafoe lights it all on fire.
Oh, he's like ranting and yelling.
Yeah, and Thomas is like, fuck, that means he's back with Ellen. So
Willem Dafoe's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
that was the plan.
So he invites her back in, and he takes her. But when the sun comes up, his fucking eyes start to bleed, and he's screaming, and he just dies on top of her. And that last ending shot, man, with this fucking corpse on top, it's so
with
beautiful.
The blood.
It's so beautiful, though, right? You have Beauty and Beast, and it's defeated. It's really, and the sun comes up on a new day on Willem Dafoe and the little kitty. It's really good.
It is.
Yeah.
I just damn, that woman went through a lot. That people laugh at her.
That's what
I'm just like,
well, she
no.
Well, she ended up giving herself over to save everybody else.
Literally, fuck the shit out of her. He did. Also, we saw his dick.
He does have a dick when
his
he rides.
His dick is like the size of this fucking cup. I mean, he's a very large vampire.
Gaze upon my Carpathian longitude.
Oh my God. He's got those fucking boils all over his back, and she's grabbing him.
He's like a fucking corpse, man. It's great.
But she literally saved the entire town by doing that.
Speaking of the dick, because Nicolas Hoult has the prosthetic from the film that it's framed on his wall. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it in an interview.
Skarsgard's like, you could have that one.
But it reminded me because I love when Nosferatu feeds in this.
Yeah.
He bites the chest instead of the neck, which I really like. And it's just
cool.
a big bite mark. But when he feeds, it's dead quiet. And it's this
the sucking.
The most unnerving fucking slurping, gulping sound. It's like you got to see it. It's great. But when he was doing it to Nicolas Hoult in that one scene, the prosthetic dick was rubbing on his leg.
Was it really?
That's what he said anyway.
Oh,
so that was kind of funny. I know that I was a little bit harsh in the beginning of this interview to the people who didn't like it, and I'll leave you with this in terms of how I was acting before. Judge it for yourself. Go see it again, and really, if you didn't like it, fine. I mean, everybody's different. Art is subjective, right? But give it the fucking chance it deserves. Don't be one of those people who listens to a review or reads some bullshit on the internet and automatically puts it in their head that this movie fucking sucks. Or don't let anybody ruin your fucking time either. Yeah. If you're at the theater, it's very hard to focus if everybody's laughing and making jokes because they can't get past a fucking mustache or, oh my God, it's a vampire dick. Okay, there's nothing really funny about that to me. I don't know.
No, yeah. I mean, the vampire dick, I think that everyone was kind of laughing at that. I can't really fault anyone on that one. But
I wasn't laughing at it, but I was like, oh yeah, he definitely had a dick. And it was funny afterwards, but in the moment, it's kind of scary.
I was saying that might be the only one. I'm like, all right, if you laughed at the dick, I can't be too mad. The rest, all right, what the fuck? Yeah. So I'm guessing it's ripe. I think it's ripe for both of us, right? This is ripe
it's 100% ripe. I don't think I'm not going to go crazy and be like this is some kind of modern masterpiece. I think it's.
I will say I think it's the best Dracula since Bram Stoker's. Personally,
I think it's the best Nosferatu.
Without seeing the 79 and rewatching 22, I can't speak to that.
In my opinion, I think it's the best version of Nosferatu. It's
my favorite.
It's the most,
as of right now.
Yeah, it's my favorite version of Nosferatu. I think it's the most complete and...
Well... There's a 3-hour cut coming out on 4K Blu-ray, Joe, so it's not actually the most complete.
Well, most complete meaning no, it's all right. Most complete meaning story-wise, character-driven wise.
It is. It's very rich.
The depth of everything is there, and the symbolism and the story arcs of the characters. There's stuff to chew and bite into. Suck, if you will.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah, suck on. Yeah. Again, 22 is great. It's a seminal classic. 79 is its own very specific artistic interpretation of it. And then the 2024 one is its own artistic interpretation, albeit more historically accurate, and kind of the version that I wanted to see.
Sure. No, same.
If that makes any sense.
That does.
I mean, putting the emphasis on the fact that it's this timeless kind of story, which is just basically Dracula, but it's Nosferatu. That's what how people were attached to Nosferatu in such a way. I didn't know the intensity in which people were so attached to Nosferatu.
That's why I'm kind of curious, just out of my personal, what James Rolfe thinks about this, because he's a huge fucking Nosferatu fan. He's championed that film for years.
I'm going to say he's probably going to be like the original's better, which I don't blame him for, I guess.
I'm just curious. I want to hear that opinion.
Nothing's taking it away.
No.
There's nothing from this movie that's tarnishing or taking away from the other two versions, and I think it only adds to the lineage of this story.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good addition. It's not a bad movie whatsoever.
No.
It's not a boring movie whatsoever. And if this isn't the type of movie for you, then you're probably not going to enjoy it. If you don't like the 22 version or the 79 version, you are definitely not going to like the 2024. If you saw the 2024 version and don't remember or haven't seen the 79 or the 22, I urge you to please go seek them out and watch them and then fucking come back here and tell me which version you prefer.
Maybe I'll do that at some point and report back in on a live show, so look out for that eventually. The one thing I'll add to that, just because I forgot to mention it when we were complaining about movie theaters earlier, I can't wait for the 4K for this to drop, because the fucking AMC that I saw this in, they don't know how to turn the goddamn lights down.
Oh, see, this
is a very dark movie. I mean, I can still see everything.
Yeah.
But I'm like, come on, the atmosphere's lost a little when I have these lights blasting and like I'm on the show right now.
Yeah, well, you made a good point, because I saw it in two different theaters. The first theater, we couldn't see. I feel like it was correct because you couldn't see Orlok really well in those first few scenes where he's introduced. Even when he's sitting at the chair, like with the fire behind him, you can't really see him. The second time we saw it, it was way brighter.
Way brighter.
And I don't know. I don't know if that's my mind filling
no, it's the theater.
I don't know if it's my mind filling in the blanks because I know what Orlok looked like at that point. So
maybe
I just kind of filled it in.
I haven't complained about that at an actual theater in a couple of years. I definitely at one point was like, "Hey, can you guys turn the lights down more? It's really bright there." Oh, we can't. That's the lowest I go. It's like, well, the theater literally right next to mine actually has them turned down more. But okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just doing their job, but it's annoying.
I could wax about this fucking movie for hours, but that's not the point of this. No. I just wanted to highlight some of the things that were the biggest differences, in my opinion, for this. What makes it its unique take.
And a couple other things that I added to the mix.
Yeah, besides the visuals and besides all the historical pieces that go along with Egger's work. But again, I want to emphasize again, I if I seemed a little harsh before, I'm not pissed off at the people who don't like this. I'm pissed off at the people who are actively... The yuck-yummers that are actively being like people who don't have explanations for why they don't like it or why
that's any movie.
I know, but that irks the fuck out of me. And saying that it's boring, and I'm like, these movies just are not for you, okay?
Probably
I fucking triple dog fucking dare you to stay awake watching the 22 version. I triple dog dare you.
You talking to me, Joe?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining online, but...
I'll go even farther than that. Don't look at your fucking phone at all. Just watch the movie.
I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. You're crazy. So we are out of touch.
I'll try it.
We are out of touch, folks. It is... I feel like films... No matter what it is.
It's a silent film. That's kind of hard for me.
Whether it's Munchie or it's fucking Nosferatu, I feel like...
I can get through Munchie without looking at my phone.
My point is, it's a disservice to the enjoyment of the film and what the purpose of a film is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's to escape.
Yeah, you're supposed to watch it and enjoy it. You know what I mean? And it just
drink it in.
It just yes, no pun intended. It drives me nuts that people pay for shit and then don't pay attention to the shit and then get pissed off about it.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I think a lot of those people their parents fucking paid for it and dropped them off, and it's the internet, so we can't really look at people's ages.
Well, it's rated R. What the fuck, man? I know that...
Have you been to some of these theaters?
I know.
Some of them are pretty diligent. Others, you just walk in and go into any theater.
I remember the days where, you had to have, a parent or guardian buy your fucking tickets and, so you can go in and check IDs and shit.
Yeah, my wife's mother tells a story. Took him to go see Jackass. Thought she could just drop him off. Nope, she had to sit through it. Not her cup of tea.
But, when you think about
pretty
that...
funny.
You could just order the tickets online. Imagine if we were...
Movie phone or something.
If we were fucking 15 and we went to Fandango now and bought our tickets for Nosferatu, we would just walk through the fucking door.
In theory.
Nobody would stop us. You know what I mean?
And maybe that's what's happening then.
Yeah, so I guess so. Maybe that's why there's people of certain ages that shouldn't even be in the fucking theater.
We could talk about waxing about something for a long time. We could talk about that for a very long time.
I just mean it's not the party movie. It's not Transformers. It's not
Wicked. You're not going to sing along with your Nosferatu?
It's not fucking... It's not the Lion King Mufasa's return or whatever
please.
The fuck.
Stop bringing up movies that are pissing me off.
But I'm saying that's the kind of junk food shit that goes into people's brains, and they cannot handle their attention span is so fucking small, it's like fucked up. Everybody and their mother has ADD because of the internet and social media.
It's just ripe. It's just now getting rotten.
Anyway. My point is,
I was going to say, you mentioned Lion King. Yeah. Talking about Nosferatu in that new Nicole Kidman movie.
What's that?
Where apparently she gets finger fucked or something.
Oh my God, she gets finger banged?
Yeah, but apparently there's clips of people online. They're the fucking Mufasa movies in the next theater over, and they're blasting it so loud on these hypers, like Lily Rose getting fucked by Nosferatu. Can't wait to be king, or whatever the song is.
Oh my God, they sing that fucking song?
Well, I don't know the song. I'm just throwing out a song I know.
And that just Hakuna Matata. She's getting fucking slammed.
Yeah, that's a funny visual. Video watchers, you just saw it.
But yeah, Nosferatu fucking ruled. Loved it. Form your own opinion. We tell you that all the time. We've been telling you that since the beginning. Go watch the film. Form your own fucking opinion. Even if you don't like it, that's all right. I still love you.
And let us know in the comments, please.
So yeah, that's Nosferatu from 2024, directed by Robert Eggers. And that's it for us. So we'll catch you on the next Ripe Reviews.